What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of Thief 2: The Metal Age. The next level is called Eavesdropping, and I kinda have a brain fart at the item screen here, because what I usually do is fully stock up on moss arrows and then invest in water arrows, unless I know I need a certain potion, which in this level I don't. You can buy that invisibility potion if you want, but it's gonna cost a lot. Anyways, let's get started. The first step of this level is extremely easy. We just have to literally sit in front of a door for several minutes to eavesdrop on a conversation between Karis, the leader of the mechanists, and the City Watch sheriff, Truart. So, first step. So, try to walk in the dirt as much as you can. Don't walk on the metal unless you have to. And if you have to, just make sure there's no guards nearby to hear your clanging steps. So, there's at least two locations where you can do the eavesdropping. There's this door outside, which is the one we're going to use. And then, I think there's another door inside, which is... It's the door that's close to both the guards' quarters and the acolytes' quarters. Now, as far as this mission is concerned, well, in addition to reaching the loot quota, because we do have a loot quota for this one, what we need to do is, after we eavesdrop, we'll get new objectives, because we will learn about a safety deposit key that will open up Karis's safety deposit box at the city bank, where he's going to be holding a voice recording of the sheriff, which he can potentially use as blackmail. And Garrett wants to do just that. Use it as blackmail on the sheriff. Because if you're following the story, if I remember correctly, the keepers approached Garrett, and they are very suspicious of the mechanists, and they want Garrett to investigate them. And as a result of this eavesdropping, Garrett knows that he could use the recording to blackmail the sheriff into getting intel. So that's where we are in the story. So right now, all you gotta do is just sit in front of this door. If the conversation is really quiet and you want it to be louder, usually if you can step away from the door a little bit and kind of lean towards it, that usually amplifies their conversation somehow. Anyways, one thing you'll see that happens after the conversation ends is, basically, the conversation didn't end correctly and I stepped away from the door, and then it failed the objective of eavesdropping, which instantly fails the level. But you'll see how I corrected it in a minute. The big part of this level is the safety deposit key. What we have to do is we have to locate it. Karis is going to tell us which key is the correct one, and then we have to get it. We have to take it down to a forge in the basement where we can make a copy of it, and then the original key has to be put back where you got it from. There are multiple key locations, and they're completely randomized. What I'm going to do for the sake of the walkthrough is the path that I'm going to take is going to show all the possible key locations. That way, regardless of which one you get, you can just follow the path of my walkthrough and just pick up the correct key when you get to it. The only part of the level that will truly change depending on location is returning the key. Because I'm definitely not going to go through the effort of revisiting all those locations a second time. So in this particular recording, the guards' quarters was the location I got, which made me happy because that's one of the easy ones. the guards' quarters and the acolytes' quarters are basically right next to each other, and those are the easiest keys to get. Or no, I'm sorry. They're not the easiest keys to get. They're both easy to get. That's what I meant. The best key is in the basement workshop, because it's literally right next to the forge. That is the best key location, hands down. We'll see them as we go. But it's basically, wherever the key is, as soon as you hear Karis tell the location, then what I would recommend doing, just to make sure you don't forget it, is go to the note page on the map screen, and then you can type it down. So now, we're just waiting for the conversation to end, because I guess the actual namesake objective of this level is actually the only part I don't like about it. You're just standing at the door. This is one of those times where, well, I love how this game takes a little bit of Half-Life inspiration by keeping you in the first-person perspective at all times. But I guess a time like this is probably when a cutscene, or at the very least, the ability to see through the door, could actually help a little bit. Just to make this more entertaining, I guess, because all you're doing is just staring at the door. The glowing door, because it's highlighted to interact with. But, of course, you don't want to interact with, you do not want to open this door. It's locked anyway, and I don't think you can pick it. So here's the weird issue I ran into. After he says the location, he's supposed to say that they're adjourned, and then you get the objective complete notification, but it like bugged out or something, and I didn't know what happened. So I did a quick save. I tried to continue on, and then I noticed, oh, I just screwed up. There we go. So I had to load it back, hoping that I didn't have to redo this, because believe me, I did not want to sit through that conversation again. What I did was, the same thing happened, but I interacted with the door, and I tried to open the door, with the locked door noise, and that actually fixed the potential soft lock, thankfully. So now we'll continue. So this path, like I said, plant a moss arrow here, because we're going to come out that door later, and it's within close proximity of a guard, so I want our footsteps silenced. So the first thing we're going to do is infiltrate by going through a hidden hatch that leads down into the catacombs, because one of the key locations is in the catacombs, where there's two zombie Hammerites that I believe are called haunts guarding it. And I stupidly just skipped that money on the floor. Please, by all means, take it. Don't do what I did. Anyways, here in the catacombs, you gotta be very careful, because like I said, there's two haunts, or zombie Hammerites I like to call them, guarding down here. Basically, we're going to explore just about every inch of these catacombs so we can get all the loot that's down here, because there's a good, healthy amount that's down here. Just be very careful around these zombie hammers, because they can spot you pretty quickly. You'll know if they actually detected you, because they'll start doing a creepy laugh. But as long as they don't do that, you're fine. So yeah, we'll do our exploration, do our looting. I definitely recommend dousing torches in certain areas, just to help give yourself some extra shadows to hide from these things. Yeah, these haunts are one of the few slash monster enemies that are carried over from the first game. But to be fair, I think these were probably the best. These were probably the best monster enemies to keep because their AI kind of works the same as guard AI. Unlike the actual zombies that went like, they were not very good for this stealth gameplay. There's a healing potion in here if you want to pick the lock, but you don't have to because we're not going to be taking any damage anyway. So now we're going to go to the other area that's guarded by the other zombie hammer. We'll be looting all the stuff over here too, and I'll also be showing where the key is that's down here if you get the catacombs as your location. Which, by the way, getting the key and having the key be in the catacombs only happens on expert, as far as I know. Yeah, don't do that. He'll see you, guaranteed. So the key down here is, like I said, or no, I don't think I said it yet. There's a dead mechanist down here, and the key is on his corpse. I will actually forget to show it off, but thankfully as I made this recording, I remembered to backtrack because I needed to show where that key was for the sake of the walkthrough. So over here, it's hard to see, but there's a wallet behind that skull. And then in this dark area, there's also the door that takes us upstairs into the actual Mechanist Church. This door right there, that's going to take us up into the cathedral where we can proceed with our preset route to not only show all the key locations but also to reach our loot quota, because we will eventually reach our loot quota doing this. Alright, so yep, and then here's where I remembered, oh yeah, I gotta show the key. So in this general area, and it's right there, there's a dead mechanist and the key is on him, but in this case it's the wrong key, so you don't want to take it. If you do pick up the wrong key, by the way, by all means drop it, because if you pick them all up, you're going to have like 1,000,000 keys in your inventory, and scrolling through your inventory items is going to get really annoying. Anyways, let's go up to the sanctuary. Now, if the key is at the altar, you're going to want to plant some moss arrows right here to silence your footsteps because of the metal. And then very carefully lined up with the altar, go up, there's the key, but you still want to come up here anyway because of all the loot you can get. So just do it that way. The next key location is in this closet. That bowl next to it is actually loot, so take it. This opposite closet does not have a key. I just forgot that there's no loot in there. Alright, next we're going to be going to both the Acolytes and Guards' quarters, which are opposite each other. The latter of which is where the key location was in this particular instance. I recommend dousing that torch, just because we're going to be revisiting this area a good bit, and that'll give you some extra shadow cover. Be very careful in both of these quarters, because there's a guard that comes into both. He doesn't come downstairs, but he does enter upstairs. This is the Acolyte's quarters, so that's the wrong key. And there's a nice little hidden tunnel that gets you between both rooms, with a little coin box, with a little like cigar box thingy with coins in it. And then this is the correct key for this particular outcome. Remember, The key is going to be different. The key location, I should say, is going to be different every single time you play the level. And you can see I almost made a grave mistake right here, or, well, I did. Or it almost was, because I quick saved at the worst possible moment. He was entering the room and I was partially illuminated. Thankfully, I was able to get to Shadow to break line of sight. But boy, that would have been bad. That would have been really bad, because I quick saved and that would have forced a restart. Anyways, if he does enter the rooms while you're exploring them, just let him leave so that you can do the same thing. And now, I think that the door over there, to the left of the red banister, that's the second door you can eavesdrop on the meeting from, but the one outside was way easier to get to. That's why I did it there. Now I'm going to show off the rest of the key locations. I think there's 4 more, and they're all upstairs. But the discreet way upstairs is this ladder outside that takes us up to the roof. The next key location is this rooftop shed over here. There's a little bit of loot in here you can get, but basically you need to very carefully dart over here as soon as the guard on the roof is not looking. And then, same thing here. You gotta be really careful going through this door because of the guard that patrols in circles, but thankfully our timing was really lucky because the guard was walking through this room right as we walk through. There's another key in this upstairs office right here. And then in this area, with a rope arrow, you can plant it on the wood right there. And then you can climb up here, and you can get some more loot in the chest that's up here. Right there. And, well, I stupidly missed that money on the floor before we climbed into the catacombs, but this is where I hit the loot quota. But you should, I'm assuming you'll hit it probably by the time you're looting that rooftop shed. As long as you picked up that money that was right in front of me that I didn't even see. And I think I launched that rope arrow because I forgot if that ladder goes all the way down or not, but I think it did, so you might not even need the rope arrow, honestly. Anyways, be very careful crossing this area because of the guard that's standing stationary with a crossbow at the other side. Also be careful opening this door because another guard is doing the same thing, but thankfully this one turns around. Douse the torch for the extra shadow cover. And then behind me is a gold candlestick. The more loot, the better. You're going to want to move when... So these are the last 2 key locations, both the east and west towers, respectively. The keys are going to be up in the actual towers above these sniper nests, I guess you can call them. But you want to climb up when the actual guards are turned around and actually facing outside. Carefully make that jump, and then that's the key, and then there's at least one piece of treasure up here, if nothing else. Now we'll climb back down, hide again if you have to, but this corridor will take us to the opposite tower where we'll do the same exact thing. And no, we're not going to climb down to the rooms below. Oh, douse the torch. You can. There's at least a little bit of loot down there, but if you've done things the way I do it, you will definitely hit the loot quota before you reach these towers, which is good. And then, up here, Careful. There's the last key, right there. And a nice little, goblet. Excuse me. For us. Alright, so now that I've shown every single key almost every single key location. I always forget about the workshop in the basement. That's going to be the last one we're going to encounter, because going down to the forge to copy the key is the last thing we're going to do. And if you do get the workshop as the location, you are super lucky. Because if you didn't want to go through the effort of going down this entire route to treasure hunt, then as long as the key is in the workshop, you don't have to. Well, you'll have to do at least some of the route in order to reach the loot quota, assuming you're playing on expert. But again, the workshop key means you don't have to go with the whole shebang. I'm doing it primarily to show off every single location, and then in terms of backtracking to return the original key where you found it, that's the only part that's really going to be different. You'll just have to kind of memorize the route that I did, and then when it's time to return the key, you just gotta return to wherever it was from, and you can just use the routes that I took to get over there quickly. Alright, now we're going to the basement where the workshop is. Douse the torches, because we're going to have to listen to a guard conversation, and they're going to have to walk out of the room before we can enter. We want the torches out so that we've got plenty of shadow cover to hide. And then this is going to be the first time, at least the way I'm playing the game, that we're going to encounter a mechanist security bot, not counting the cameras. This is an actual robot that walks around. But this is the small one. The small one, at least when it's in neutral, as in it's in its regular unalerted path, the optic sensors are disabled and it cannot see. It can hear you, and it will not get alerted unless you make really loud noise, and then the optic sensor will be enabled, and then it can potentially see you. And if it does see you, the small bots don't have any artillery on them. Here's the last key. You better pray to God you get this one if you want to make the level as easy as possible. At least by the next level, you'll be seeing the big security bots. Anyways, put the safety deposit key in that forge, pick up that scraper to your left, and then use it to scrape out the copied key. Now you gotta return the original. Don't make too much noise so that you don't alert the security bot. If you have the workshop key, then you can just drop it right there and done. You can head on out. If you need to go back to the catacombs, the best way is that door that we just passed. But in our case, we're going back to the guards' quarters. If it's the acolytes' quarters, then it's basically the same thing that I'm doing right now. And if you need to go back to the altar or the shed or the closet behind it, then you just go a little bit further past here. If you need to go anywhere upstairs, whether it be the roof shed, that office, or one of the two towers, go back outside to that ladder and then just work your way to where you need to from there. And then use the ladder to get back down. So anyways, drop the key, the original key, because right now the copied key is still on like a like basically like a forged plate or whatever you want to call it. That's the one you want to keep. And now, let's slip out this door again. Stay off the metal. Let the guard turn around, and then we will backtrack to the front entrance, going the exact way that we went to get to that door over there when we did the titular eavesdropping. Alright, all downhill from here. Okay. You can walk on this metal. Unless there's a guard really close by, it's fine. And then just keep going, staying off the metal as best as you can. Up to the front. Right over here. And then right back here where we first started. And that completes it. Mission complete. We ghosted it, and we did it on Expert. Alright, I'll see you next time.